And it's a beautiful one here in the Berg. There's some crisp in the air today. I don't think it hit 50 degrees until closer to noon. That's how you know this is football season. We are back. It is flannel sweater weather, and that's the best time of year. So I will ask you, and I hope it's good. How you feel, my friend?
Yeah, I'm feeling good. I woke up this morning. Me and the wife went to Starbucks to get some coffee, and
Beautiful.
I said, "Oh, what's the temperature?" 46 degrees. All right, once we reach below 50, I was like, "All right, I guess I got to wear something other than just shorts and flip-flops." So, but yes, I
True.
too am a fan of sweater weather, shorts and a sweatshirt or flannel. So, it is fall weather. It is finally football weather in Pittsburgh and in the DMV.
Yeah, I'm glad it is. I'm glad it is down there. Yeah, the leaves are changing. You go outside in the morning and you're either wearing a sweatshirt, you see your breath a little bit, you got your cup of coffee. It's a good time. What do you get at Starbucks if you
I just
don't drink
drive.
coffee?
I just drive, to be completely honest. Fresh air, morning air. I don't get anything because, again, I don't drink coffee.
I know your wife's there, and I would like to ask her what her thoughts are on this, but I won't. I won't embarrass you on live television or live YouTube. We'll move on. We'll move on. The Pittsburgh Steelers got some big injury news. Russell Wilson is officially back. He will be the quarterback 2 for the Pittsburgh Steelers in week 6 against the Las Vegas Raiders. A move that I think we saw coming. Did you have any doubt by the end of this week that Russ was going to be inactive? And did you still have the looming thought of, because I heard Mike Garofalo say it on the Rich Eisen show yesterday, that his bold prediction is Russell Wilson's going to start against the Raiders. Did you have that same thought at any point this week?
I didn't have that thought. And again, with the Garofalo thing, I looked at that and I said, I don't think they would do that. And I certainly hope they don't do that because I've been pounding the table all week. Justin needs this opportunity to be able to bounce back, especially like I get it. If you go and revert back next week, it's one thing. But if you don't allow him to at least prove that, hey, I can get back on track here. I can get a win after back-to-back losses, then I'm going to be down on it. But I'm happy that it seems like he's going to get the start. I was not overly concerned that he wasn't, but as soon as I saw Russell Wilson talk yesterday, looking at the way that he was answering questions, I was like, yeah, this guy is going to be ready.
Yeah, I knew. I mean, I think Russ would have played 4 weeks ago if you told him, yeah, you'll be the backup, but you will dress. And I think he still would have been like, yeah, that's fine. Just get me on the field. It's one day, 1 week closer to where I would like to be, which is the starter. I will say I'm still thinking about this Starbucks thing. I can't get it out of my head. You don't get a green tea or something. You're just showing up for the fun. Love the game. So,
listen, I'm a good husband, so I just drive her to Starbucks, and then every once in a while, if she asks, I'll get like a ham and cheese croissant or something like that.
Ham and cheese croissant. That's not bad. All right.
There you go.
All right.
Does that
just
it
eased me a little bit. I was just like, you're driving all the way, you know what I mean? Just to be like,
it's like 5 minutes. Who is not within 5 minutes of a Starbucks at this day and age?
That is true. Very people who don't get coffee, who don't waste $9 on a coffee. I can tell you that. They're living better lives, but are they really? I don't know. Who knows? I'm glad we got that sorted out. That was going to bother me. Whole show here. Show. I would have thought about that. I agree with you. I don't think there was any point at any place that I thought Russ was going to start this week, but I did think he was going to come back. It does feel, and I don't agree with this, and this is where I wanted to go with this conversation is, I know we've talked about Russ returning all week and what it means and what Justin Fields has to do, but it kind of feels like the tide is changing to where people are somewhat accepting, hey, maybe it is time to start Russell Wilson. Maybe it is time to turn that corner and start a new leaf and look at this and say, Justin did great. He got us to where we wanted to be. Awesome. Let's see what Russ can do now. I hope that gets shut down this week because I think Justin plays very well. I don't think Russ solves all the problems, and I don't think Russ adds more problems. I really don't. And I think he does provide a boost. I do think you're going to get that with Russell Wilson. And I do think Russ has or plays better in some areas than Justin does, certainly. Plus, he's a 9-time Pro Bowler and a Super Bowl champion. I mean, you can't take any of this away from him. Maybe he is the right choice. But I don't think that Russell Wilson comes in here and the Pittsburgh Steelers are suddenly, 3-0, 6-0 again, and they go on this long run. And this was it. That was the answer. I mean, Russell Wilson being out there doesn't change anything for George Pickens' attitude, doesn't change anything for the fact that the offensive line can't block, doesn't change anything that the defense is struggling, and doesn't change anything that the running game isn't there. Like, I don't think any of that changes. I would like to see Justin get one more opportunity here to show everybody, hey, when things are clicking, I am the guy that can make this 10 times better. And that, yeah, we have struggled the last 2 weeks, but I don't think that that would be on me. I think we should put blame on others around me and acknowledge that first. And I get it. The easiest way to change is a quarterback. And I don't think fans in general, you could look at the media, but you look at national media and hot takes, that's all they are anymore. That's all it is hot takes, is just what's the flashiest storyline? This is it. Let's run with it. But I think fans are at a point where they're not 100% sold on either of these guys, so they can really care less as long as they're winning. I get that. I definitely get that. I think Justin provides a little bit of a spark that I don't know if you're going to get with Russ, and I don't know if that spark's going to be evident every single week, but I think that I saw it, and I think you saw it in Indianapolis. We saw it against the Chargers. Like, that spark is there, and it could happen. And if you could get the pieces around him to work out better, I just hope this is the week we get to see one more time of, hey, Jaylen Warren's back and things look good and the receiving game is good and the defense is playing very well. And this is a game where Justin can say, this is what this offense looks like. This is what this team looks like when there are not issues everywhere. And I am the guy that should be leading that group in that fight because I can provide that spark. That's where I stand. And I get it. It's all about winning. If he doesn't win, if he doesn't do that, cool, you move on to Russell. But I hope that he gets one more opportunity where the rest of everything around him works, because I think Justin deserves one more shot of not a performance with an asterisk, but a real performance of just, hey, your team, what can you do with it? And we'll see. And I don't know if he's going to get that, but I hope he does. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. What's something that scares you? For me, it's the obvious ones: death, loss, failure. Halloween lets us have fun with what scares us, but what about those fears that don't involve zombies and ghosts? Therapy is a great tool for facing your fears while finding ways to overcome them, because sometimes the scariest thing is not facing our fears in the first place and holding ourselves back. I'm somebody who's benefited from therapy for a long time, and I've been an advocate for therapy for years, and I'm excited to tell you guys about BetterHelp. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire and get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. Overcome your fears with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/allsteelers today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/allsteelers.
Yeah, I agree. I hope he does too. And I've seen a lot, especially this week with Russell Wilson returning to practice as a full participant. It seems like people are kind of dividing into two camps. You're either pro Russell Wilson or you're pro Justin Fields, and you can't be both. I think the truth of the matter is probably the ceiling is higher with Justin Fields, but the floor is much higher with Russell Wilson. We haven't seen Justin Fields get down to the floor yet, but we know it's there because we saw it in Chicago. And that's always something that's a threat. But at the same time, he hasn't shown that, except for maybe 2 or 3 plays that me and you have texted each other about saying, oh, yeah, there's the floor if he keeps doing that. And one of them was the negative 30-yard sack fumble against the Colts. But what did he do right after that? 3 straight touchdown drives to get them back into the game. So I think that at the end of the day, where these guys are at currently, and that takes out Russ's resume and kind of brings you to what Russ is right now, coming off a calf injury, not playing football over the past month. Russ has a higher floor. Justin has a higher ceiling. And I would personally like to go with the guy that has the higher ceiling.
I agree. I think you could look at it right now and say you're hunting for a Super Bowl. Who cares about the higher ceiling? I believe Justin gives you that higher ceiling this season still. I believe Justin is the guy that if you put him in a crucial situation where it's you got to go win this game, dude, he could go win it because he's done it. I mean, once, almost twice. And I get it. Almost only counts in hand grenades and horseshoes. But where we sit here right now, it's one in an asterisk, a bad asterisk, but I just feel like you could continue to develop that. And by the end of the season, who knows what you have in this kid? Who knows how good Justin Fields can be? And I could be totally wrong. This could be a freezing cold take on Monday, but there are a lot of things in me that think Justin Fields just deserves one shot with a good offense and a good defense around him to say, there it is. Because that's what we talked about the first couple of weeks of the season. That's what we talked about all summer long is what does Justin Fields look like with a good team around him? The last 2 weeks, he has not had a good team around him. So what does it look like when that team is good again? What does that look like when Justin Fields actually has a good team around him? That's a question I would like to answer. We'll find out on Sunday. Justin will be the guy. Do you think, is there any part of you that thinks Russell Wilson steps into this game during the game for Justin Fields?
Barring injury, no. And if you do, then I have even more questions about what Mike Tomlin is doing in Vegas the night before if he decides to start flip-flopping quarterbacks like he did right guards a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. But do you think that Justin has a leash to where he could get pulled?
I think he does. I think he does. And if he didn't, I feel like it wouldn't have been as big of a deal of Mike Tomlin saying he will dress, he will be the number 2. I think if Justin struggles, then, again, struggles meaning not just has a couple bad series, like starts to revert back to things that we haven't seen in a Steelers uniform, turning the ball over, making horrible mistakes. We haven't seen that yet. If he does that, yeah, there's a chance that they pull him for Wilson. But I think that is a long shot.
I agree. I believe that leash would not be so short that it's the team starts off slow, Justin's done, there it is, we'll move on. I believe it's got to be Justin looks bad, now we'll move on. And if it's not, then the plan all along was for Russ to start. Then it was Mitch Trubisky, Kenny Pickett situation to where it was, Mitch looks bad, but that wasn't really a play or a time to bench him. The plan was for Kenny to get in there eventually. I believe if that's the case here, it's the plan for Russ to get in there no matter what. Justin didn't even have a real shot. On the other side of that, the Pittsburgh Steelers potentially get a good injury in Jaylen Warren back this week. Massive news because, man, do they need a lot of things. A running back is certainly one of them. And Pat Freiermuth is good to go after dealing with a calf injury. He was a full participant today. No injury designation. He's cleared. He's out there. I do expect Jaylen Warren to play on Sunday against the Raiders. What do you see his workload kind of being like if he does return?
I'd like to say that he could come back in and be what he was before he got injured, which again, let's remember, he was coming off of a hamstring injury, so he wasn't really getting as much of the share of carries that we would have expected coming into the season. But I think that the fact that he started off this week doubtful and he worked his way up to being a full participant and being no injury designation, it still makes me feel like, okay, they're going to slow play this. I think he's going to get some carries. I think he's going to be the number 2 back, but I still think it's not going to be what you saw late last season when it was nearly 50-50, or depending on the game plan, it was closer to 60-40. I think you're going to see more of like a 75-25 carry share between him and Najee Harris.
I do too, but I do believe that there's an opportunity for Najee to not hit these holes and the Steelers to go, screw, we got to win some games. Doesn't matter. We can't lose this game. We got to have a running game. You got to put Jaylen out there. We'll figure it out from there. I do believe that that's a thought in Mike Tomlin and Arthur Smith's mind is Najee is good. They aren't losing faith in him, but defenses are playing him so strongly that you need somebody else out there. Jaylen's the guy. Jaylen's proven, so you have to give him more shares. I think he goes into there with the 75-25 split, could leave that game with closer to a 50-50 with an opportunity to make some plays, depending on how the defense plays against Najee Harris. But definitely big news and stuff to, I guess, latch onto and keep an eye out for.